There is a huge plebiscite campaign going on in British Columbia right now. A plebiscite, of course, means a non-binding public referendum, a vote for people in the Lower Mainland, Vancouver and area, to increase their sales tax to go to government-run public transit. Well, this, of course, sounds like another boondoggle, and a man who feels the same way is Jordan Bateman. He's the BC director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation, and he is the spokesman for the No TransLink Tax.ca website, basically the No campaign. He joins me now from Vancouver. Jordan, great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, Ezra, and congratulations on this new platform. It's tremendous.
Well, thank you very much. Now, you just heard my brief summary of the situation of the campaign. Did I get it right? Can you correct any errors I made? Tell me a little bit more about the campaign. Who is allowed to vote? How much would taxes go up? And why is this just another government boondoggle?
Yeah, well, taxes would go up 0.5%. So Vancouver and area would become the first region to actually have their own sales tax, which of course is a big concern if you live in Toronto or Calgary or anywhere else and you have a mayor who's eyeing a big tax increase. So what would happen is this money would be collected, about $250 million. Bear in mind, there's about 1 million households in the Lower Mainland, so it's about $250 per household per year.
Per year, money, that's $250 million a year just for more public transit?
Exactly, and this money would go to TransLink, which is one of the most wasteful government organizations in Canada. In fact, won the Lifetime Achievement Award for Waste from the Canadian Taxpayers Federation this year. They blow money on just the most nonsensical things, and now they want more of ours. Worse, that money would have to be matched by the provincial and federal government because the mayors are planning to spend $7.7 billion over 10 years to build all of their big projects.
Now, I've been on your website. I find it not only informative, but I find it very entertaining. Tell our viewers some of the insane things that TransLink, that's this government transit agency, is blowing their money on now. And I think this is important because if you show such disregard for public money when you have this much, and you say, give me this much, I think it's very germane. Tell me some of their craziest spending examples.
Well, TransLink, and we've actually been posting a waste story every day since the campaign began. I think we're up to about 50 on the website now, and I still have another 40 to roll out before voting ends May 29th. But TransLink is notorious for spending money on things that don't move a single person a single inch. So whether it's $500,000 for public art at a couple of SkyTrain stations, $40,000 a piece for 13 television screens in SkyTrain stations, whether it's paying their CEO more than the Prime Minister of Canada makes, more than any transit CEO we can find in North America. These guys are notoriously bad for waste. They sell properties and then buy them back from private hands at a huge cost increase. It's just been one boondoggle after another over there.
Now, there was one thing, and I want to make sure I understand it right, to show how respectful they were of the public purse. They fired someone, paid him a huge severance, and then hired someone, so they actually put 2 job categories instead of 1. Tell me the story there. I don't recall all the details, but in some attempt to show how penny pinching they were, they actually doubled a budget?
Yeah, so all these government guys are saying TransLink is very efficient, a wonderful organization, and this vote's not about TransLink. They don't want to talk about TransLink because the brand is so badly tarnished in the Lower Mainland. So in the middle of the campaign, they jettisoned their current CEO, who they paid $468,000 last year, by the way. But they didn't get rid of him. They instead promoted him to an advisor to the board and brought in a new CEO at $35,000 per month. So they're actually spending about $70,000 per month right now on these CEOs. All the while,
unbelievable. How do you justify? How complicated is transit that you need to pay people close to $500,000 a year and then want more? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's not. And you look at some of the biggest systems in North America: New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Toronto, and we pay our guy far more than any of those agencies pay theirs.
I want to ask you about the campaign. You are a lonely voice for the taxpayer. You and about 5 million British Columbians, almost 5. How many folks are in BC these days? How many would be hit by this tax? About half of British Columbians?
Yeah, about 1.5 million people get to vote, if that helps.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. So you stand with the people, but against you, it's the government, not just the provincial government, but city and local governments, unions and businesses, David Suzuki and other extremist environmentalists. Really, it's you and the people versus everyone else. And the everyone else side of things has access to taxpayer money for the campaign. Tell me about this David and Goliath battle that you're trying to fight.
Yeah, well, these big government agencies are spending $7 million taxpayer dollars trying to defeat or trying to get this tax through. We've raised money. We don't get tax dollars, and we don't want tax dollars because that's not what you collect taxes for. You collect it for public services, not to run campaigns. We're spending about $40,000, all privately raised. So they have big government. They have the opposition, the government. They have all the civic parties. They have 19 out of the 22 regional mayors. They have a big environment, Suzuki, Tides, all those guys. They have they even have Metro Vancouver. They have some federal government agencies who are tied into the boards of trade and chambers of commerce.
So they got their budget is 200 times bigger than yours. What do the polls show? We're almost out of time, but tell me, what are the chances here? Do you think you can stop it? You're being outspent 200 to 1. It's just you, the taxpayers, versus all these big agencies. What are your chances?
Well, the polls show that it's trending towards us. The latest poll had us up 61-27, but it all comes down to average everyday people marking their ballot no and putting it in the mail. These guys are spending millions to try to buy our votes, but it's all going to come down to, Joe and Jane taxpayer saying, I've had enough of paying taxes to wasteful agencies and putting that in the mail.
When will we get the result?
We won't know the results until late June or early July. But we'll start seeing in the next couple of days how many people have voted. We won't get result counts, but we'll be able to see what kind of turnout we're getting.
Jordan Bateman, I'm so proud of you standing up for the interests of taxpayers. That is your title. You're the director of the Taxpayers Federation. One last time before we go, what is the website for people to find out more?
www.notranslanktax.ca. Please go there. You can pledge a no vote, and you can also find great information that you can share with your friends and family.
Thanks, Jordan. Good luck to you and good luck to all of us. For the Rebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant.